Some time ago, I was on Instagram or something scrolling and wasting time, and I saw this really amazing ad for the Lofree Flow. It was one of the most stunning looking keyboards I had seen, so I figured I just have to get my hands on to see what it looks like in person. And not too long ago, I was able to get my hands on one, and of course, I took the time to review it comprehensively. And now we're gonna see what makes this 75% low profile mechanical keyboard so special, and of course, answer the ultimate question of whether or not it's the right one for you. Let's get into it. In terms of packaging contents, the Lofree Flow comes in a fairly minimalist box that's honestly just slightly bigger than the actual keyboard itself. Now anyway, once you remove the protective packaging, I immediately knew I was in for a good experience because you have a magnetic lid here. Whenever you have that, it's like international sign language for high-end packaging. Anyway, once you open it up, inside you will find a cute little paper pouch which has the operational manual, quick start guide, and other basic documentation about the keyboard. Past that, remove all the protective packaging here, and here it is, the Lofree Flow in the flesh. And it is a beautiful keyboard, more on that in a minute. Past that, you have a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, pretty standard stuff, and that's pretty much it. The Lofree Flow really is the best looking 75% low profile keyboard I have had my hands on. I mean, there's just something very elegant about it, but it's more than just a pretty face. It is built rock solid because, well, the entire top frame is of a metallic exterior, which naturally looks very nice in that gunmetal shine color. However, something that's even more rare is that the entire bottom plate of the keyboard is also metallic end to end, making this one of the few keyboards out there that is basically a full metallic exterior. You'll notice you also have a hump towards the top side of the bottom, and then you'll notice you have two static height raisers. You cannot remove these and they cannot be adjusted, so you're kind of stuck with the height they've decided for you, but honestly it looks really nice. Now on the rear side, you also have a USB-C charging port and a switch to go between the various connectivity modes, including wired and Bluetooth. We'll talk more about that in just a bit. Let's talk about the keycap. So the first thing you'll notice is that you have a single tone color keycap design here, which I personally like. The keycaps themselves are slightly rounded inverse, so you have good ergonomics for your fingers. And I also like how they have a PBT coating, which means they are very moisture and oil resistant. Now the characters themselves are a little bit too thin for my liking, making them a little bit more difficult to read, but that's more of a preference thing. I would have liked them slightly more bold. Now you do have built-in backlighting, but honestly illumination here is very weak even at the highest setting, making it a fairly poor execution of this feature itself. Now you do have RGB lighting technically speaking, because on either bottom corner of this keyboard you have two lights and you can fluctuate between the different colors. It is worth noting this keyboard is fully hot swappable, meaning you can replace every single individual keycap and also replace the Kailh full palm switches. However, you will find you have a rather limited variety of switches you can actually replace it with because of the unique pin configuration you'll find on these type of switches to begin with. Now let's talk about my favorite thing about this keyboard, and that's the fact that you have a full gasket mount on this machine. That's insane. The fact that they managed to squeeze that in on a 75% low profile keyboard is unheard of. None of the other low profile keyboards I reviewed had this, and the result is you get one of the most buttery, creamy, smoothest typing experiences I've seen on a low profile keyboard, where keyboards like the Air 75 have a more traditional dock type feel with more rigidity and tactility. Over here you have a far more subtle feel, and don't get me wrong, you still have a good degree of tactility, but you don't have those unnecessary vibrations. It just feels like a keyboard that has a typing experience in its own unique class, and that is definitely a hot selling point for this keyboard. Let me give you a quick test of the tactile switches we have over here. You get a fairly small 2000 milliamp hour battery here, which translates to about 40 hours of runtime on a single charge with backlighting off, so it's pretty reasonable. However, with backlighting turned on, that number does drastically drop. Now, in terms of connectivity, you can connect this in a wired configuration, or via Bluetooth with up to 3 distinct profiles, so you have the ability to use multiple devices. Unfortunately, you do not get a 2.4 gigahertz connection here, which means anyone who requires a low latency connection is out of luck. But for general productivity, you have plenty of connectivity. With a retail price of about $160 on Lofree's own website, the Flow is definitely trending towards upper mid-range pricing. However, there are certain aspects that do justify that. For example, you have extraordinarily well done build quality here. Having a fully metallic exterior is rare even amongst luxury keyboards. You also have PBT keycaps for good resistance and a gasket mount in such a small body, which creates for a truly exceptional yet subtle typing experience, one which you will not experience on any other low profile keyboard at the moment. It really is a niche for this keyboard. Now with that said, there are limitations. A small battery combined with the fact that you don't have 2.4 gigahertz connection or a very dimly lit backlit system are all things that might not be necessarily right for you. Ultimately, it's going to come down to which checkboxes you want when you're buying a keyboard. What I will say, however, is if you're looking for a cloud-like typing experience with the right amount of tactility and a mechanical feel, this keyboard is king currently in that aspect for low profile keyboards. Let me know what you think about the Lofree Flow. If you have one, I'd also love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next one.